kayo kahagod ni Arap. Marco!
Mia!
Naon sa siya? Tabang! Tabang! Ang sinitabo.
Atong naunta ang kadaugan. Nagdilaab na ang kuta. Napukan na ang mga manlulupig. Ang ilang mga patay nga lawas nabugnaw na. Nakadaog naman naunta ta. Apan, layo pa gani sila makadugog ka. Niuyog ang yuta sa ilang pagmarcha. Kapatan, kalimaan pa siguro ang atong mga pwersa. Idani nila bisan ang mga Bisaya nga sama nato. Kadtong nagpaulipon, ning sulong sila kay pag-away batok sa ilang kaguliyong dugo. Bisaya kontra sa Bisaya.
Bisaya usap ang nidunggam niya?
Bahin yun kini sa ilang plano. Nahibulaan siguro nila nga wala sila daganan kontra nato mga Bisaya kung gubat na ang isgutan. Mong ipahimuslan na lang nila ang mga sama nato nga mga Bisaya. Kung naghiusa lang yun ang atong tumong, kung wala lang yung pagbudhi, mao ka na ang panahon na magabot nato ang kadaugan.
Kinsa may mga kauban, unsay ta sa katipunan. Wa ko kay bawo sa imong gipangasulti. Ayaw ko yung mga tonto. Ano sa aman mong walsa? Wa ko kay bawo. Asa ang mas importante kanimo? Ang kinabuhi sa imong mga kauban o ang kinabuhi kanimo? Sis, kung ako pa ato, mutugan na lang ko kay.
I can't believe you.
Hala, uy, ikaw ko no, be. Kung ikaw'y tiyo na nagpusil sa baba, you think magtigbaba imong love for country? Fear is stronger than love.
So have no fear.
Possible dahil na.
Yes. I'll show you ha. Close your eyes. Think of something you always wanted to do pero hadlok kayo kabuhat. Ay, li. Okay, think about the worst case scenario. Just trust me, okay? Okay, Karon, think about the best case scenario. Okay? Nang papasa sila. Papasa ang duha, good or bad. And instead, think of this. Huna-huna ang tanang butang nga imong giagian para lang makaabot kadta. Tanang kasakit, tanang kalipay. It's not about how it is going to end up, good or bad. It's just about this. Worth it to try? Do you love it more than you fear it?
I do.
You do?
Yes, I do. Mia. Will you be my girlfriend?
Wala jud kay tugan.
Salang. Salang ka pangutana. Unsang adlaw karon?
Ikaduhang adlaw. Dili di ay. 3 de Abril.
Padayon mga kauban, mabuhi ang Pilipinas!
Mabuhi!
Ikaw kauban, buhi ang atong mga kauban nga ilang gipang bilanggo. Tungod sa ilang kalingon, milampos ang atong pag-alsa. Sugato na to sila balik sa kira, isip mga bayani.
Mahimo, General. Kauban, gawas na kamo. Marco?
Mia. Nganong naa ka diri?
Long story. Dali, sawa pa ni abot ang...
Mia, wait. There's something I have to tell you. I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
For giving up on us. I thought na masaya na lang na magbulag ta. Wala tayo future sa US. Pero when I was there, all I did was miss the Philippines. I miss you, Mia. I know na wala na ko'y chance, wala na ko'y right na musulti, pero if you give me a chance, I'll fight for you.
Marco, I...
Mabuhi ang Pinas!
Talk later.
victory of the Cebu Revolution was 125 years ago. But even today, makarelate kapon ko, when you love something, you fight for it. Bahalag lisod, bahalag dugay. And if dili maimo in the first try, it will just make you stronger when you try again.
Ayaw kalimot nga in the 333 years of Spanish rule, there were 333 years of revolt too. Pagkadaog nato sa 1898, it was a 333-year-old victory.
In short,
hapon sa tanan. Maayong hapon sa tanan. Amgars the Cebu Heritage Hotel in partnership with 𝐸𝐵𝐼𝐻 Foundation Incorporated, the 𝘬𝐪 Heritage Center, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, and so on 2020 present to you this afternoon another very exciting event celebrating the Kalag-Kalag, Sulad ug Saad, ancient burial practices in the Visayas. So daghang salamat for being with us once again to nga hapit na budaghan and also to our online audience. Daghang salamat for joining us. So actually, there's a question from friends from the in the discussions of our resource persons. So these words concern the afterlife. So this is actually, so today there will be like in different parts of the country or the world, they are already celebrating the Halloween. So there is also another story about the Halloween, but for us in Cebu, in the Philippines, we celebrate the All Souls Day, and it's known here in Cebu, in the Visayas, as Kalag-Kalag. So we also know that kalag is actually, so kalag, it's still used until today. So it's more than 500-year-old word to mean the spirit of the dead or the ghost of the dead. So kalag, so the spirit of the dead. So this is kalag. So daghang salamat for being. Please take your seat. So we have read about kalag. So in the discussions of, for example, Father Francisco Alcina, kalag was already so many, like 300 years, more than 300 years. So this month, one of many events. So October museums and galleries month. So we always celebrate our museums. At Palmgrass, we also have a mini museum, the Galeria Independencia, because in the museums, we are able to retrace our roots. It's very important for the people. So we don't just expect the foreign guests to the foreigners or the tourists, the foreign tourists to visit our museums, but we expect especially the locals, the Filipinos, the Visayans, Cebuanos to visit our museums to know more about our identity, as can be seen in the artifacts displayed in the museums. So thank you very much for the increasing number of our online audience, and also to those who just came in. Daghang salamat for joining us. So aside from the museums and galleries month, we also celebrating the National Indigenous Peoples Month. So it is, we always say that if we want to retrace our roots, if you want to know the way of life of our ancestors, we should also take a look at the way of life, the culture, the way of life right now of the indigenous people. So right now I am giving tribute to Bully with my brass bracelet. See it, but I'm wearing a Maranao. These are all we have items in our gift shop. From the indigenous people, from the 𝐒𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐽𝐿, from the Talaandig of Mindanao. We also have from we even have our ancient in our souvenir shop, in our gift shop, Sinugatan Gift from Cebu. We even have our asin. Uh, Aside from the Indigenous Peoples Month, we are also celebrate women or the prevention of breast cancer, the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and all ladies get to have this free drink. I think this is our Pakwan Margarita. This has anti-cancer benefits with carrots and so those who visit Palmgrass, the women would avail of this drink at 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙘𝙠 And we also celebrated earlier this month. This month. We celebrate the month of last month we celebrated the birthday of Virgin Mary and the Blessed Virgin Mary. So we thank the sisters of the Divine Mercy from the Shrine of the Divine Mercy who brought Congress for to be also displayed at our Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. So they even have rosary and rosary bracelets with also even rosary bracelet with a puso design. So thank you very much to the sisters for providing their religious items here at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. So at Palmgrass, we are open to all religions, to all faiths, and all religions. We also celebrated earlier this month on October 5, the World Teachers Day. So we greet all our teachers. Happy Teachers Day. Without our teachers, we would not have the knowledge that we have today. Society will not progress without our teachers. Love our teachers very much, and we show our love to our teachers by always remembering what they taught us, the values that they taught us. So, and also October 16, we celebrated the second year, the 𝘍𝐼𝐻𝐽𝑪 𝘍𝐼𝐻 Native Massage. In our native spa at 𝘍𝐼𝐻 Native Massage, our therapists, our modern day babaylanes also use traditional healing practices like orasyon because we always believe that prayers would heal us. So our ancestors use prayers. Does this or do this, and also they also perform like hilot binisaya, authentic binisaya massage, and a manghihilot at traditional manghihilot taught them how to do it, and also we also use the healing herbs at our this afternoon we are celebrating the kalag-kalag through this discussion about our ancient burial practices. And tonight, be with us. That's why I'm wearing already a crown of flowers. Did you know that our ancestors, the Visayans, always wear flowers when they go out? So for them, going out of the house is a performance, and they would really have flowers, but not like this. It's just a flower at the. Visayan folklore would come alive with the participation our youth who dressing up according to their favorite um, tonight or characters. Chris, what do you play? There will be Maria Manananggal. There will be Manananggal tonight, and Ungo, Ungo, Ungo or wit. Of course, for the our babaylanes and all our religious leaders were witches. Anyway, they are not mythical, they were real, but Ungo is the mythical creature. And also, Visayan mythical. We celebrated this. We already posted this at Pamgra's page that we invite all of you to our Sinulog 2024 celebration here at Pamgra's Hotel, where you out with their body. So because so are we ready? So mythical ball of fire. The spirit of the well, they said that there is something more if you pass by. So you pass by a cemetery, but my physics and chemistry teacher explained explained the Santilmo that there would really be fire with the chemical reaction in the cemetery with all the chemicals in the ground. I don't know. There is a scientific explanation for such. So thank you very much to Ellen watching live from the from the platform guys. Pretty gay, and you get from where you are watching in the Philippines or in the world. Thank you very much to Toby from Canada watching us from Canada. And also Vision Segregado watching from Taguig City and Pateros. And Fergie Apatisto watching from Taguig City and Pateros. Nicky Kamandan is watching from General Santos. Toby watching from Vancouver, Canada. Thank you very much to the Visayan Facebook page for sharing this to them at the Visayan Facebook page. So we have Judy and from Pateros, from Saad. And I think that the chair, the president of the tour guide, class tour guide, watching from Mactan, Rainier watching from Pateros, Marlene watching from Pateros, also Tony from Pateros. Thank you. Denny, Lindsay, nag-echo ang medyo. Okay na? Okay na. Fergie is saying that audio is now okay. Thank you very much for giving feedback regarding our technical issues. And Danny is watching from, Danny Montenegro is watching from Lapu-Lapu. 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙤 is watching from Hong Kong. I think that 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙤 is in Zamboanga. Or it's a different 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙤. I think it's a different 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙤. So, 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙤𝙘𝙤 and the Sulad, Saad, or burial. Even in some parts in Luzon, but a panelist who is from the National Museum. She would be discussing all about, but one of COVID isn't that good. So, ta-
Nag-ground siya. No? Nawala. Ano si Arjen? Gambling.
no. Siya,
Ay, dire. Nag-on dire. Wani naman daw. Tingog ra.
wag tang na akong
Hey, sound check.
maayong hapon sa tanan. Shopee, kakaayon, Shopee kaayo. So, can we just show any card? Wala na. Show na lang ang audio. So, please bear with us as we fix our cards, our fix our audio. May we show the Santiago drink right now? Mainom na ba ko, ana ha? Hubog ko, iinom na ko. Talbay din ako. Naman straw? Naman. So, still, is it now okay? So, Raul, thank you very much. Our heritage advocate.
Mic check.
Is watching, and is our audio okay? We would like to know if the audio is okay. Okay na? So, we would show you our Santino, right? Is it now playing
Mahal lagi.
It shows the So this is how our church.
Nag-mic check, nag-on sa content.
If you So this is our Santilmo drink. It is a flaming drink. Dagang salamat. Thank you very much for the Santilmo drink. You should taste the Santilmo. So audio is now okay. So dagang salamat for bearing with us, and we hope that our audience now is can hear us properly. Pwede ni siya, maybe I have the asang. So Raul is watching from the BLP commercial. Daghang salamat. 𝘍𝐼𝐻 is also watching. So we also recognize our partners, the 𝘧𝐸𝐵 Foundation Incorporated, the USC Center for Social Research and Education, the Yandi Heritage Center, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, and so on 2020. So please also tell us about later. Please also tell us about at the comment section the burial practices the unique burial practices that you have in your place. So may we have those our audience here from where they are. So we also have here from dili lang nato i-show, Chris. So we also have from the Cebu reenactors, Ferdinand Ascaraga, who made the replica of the Patanaw earrings. So this replica of Patanaw earrings that are available at Pamgras Sinugatan Gifts from Cebu. These are made by Ferdinand Ascaraga, one member of the La Liga Cebu reenactors. So he's a heritage advocate, and this is a gold brass cutlets with gold plating, like 24 karat gold plated brass cutlets, replica of the gold earrings of our ancestors. So you also see here at my back. So this is the gold death masks the gold death mask was very popular a few months ago when it was worn by someone and made into a jewelry. So you would see here a replica of the gold death mask also made by Ferdinand Ascaraga. So you should come here at Pamgras Cebu Heritage Hotel to look at this. This would be displayed soon here at Pamgras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. So you would know more the details, how this is used, why they use this, and who used this among the ancient Visayans. So you would know more about this as we discuss about the burial practices of our ancestors. So for our Visayan ancestors, the dead is very important, and the dead was very important, and the dead ancestors become actually the dead become deities. That's why for us Visayans, Filipinos, All Souls Day, Kalag-Kalag, is a very important celebration. If you would go to rural areas, it is a very happy celebration because for us, we really we revere our ancestors. Some even, like even the indigenous peoples, would pray to the ancestors, and even the ancient Visayans would pray to the dead or to the dead ancestors. So, Angono Rizal, Ferdia Particio says, Agono Rizal pay respect for their departed loved ones during November 2. And also, thank you very much to Misiyo Sugbo, Yar Adartsi, for what, also ito, Ray. Yar. That's his Facebook name. This is Ray. Ray, thank you very much to the curator of curator of the Museo Sugbo, the Cebu Provincial Museum, for watching this event. So aside from we also have, aside from Leyte we have Mindanao State University who registered to watch this online. Also from Ateneo de Davao, Leyte Normal University, Schools Division from Taguig City and Pateros. We have from Cebu Technological University Main Campus. We have DepEd Borongan City Division. And we also have GMA Regional News TV. Thank you very much, Digital, for joining us. And also Aklan Catholic College and Cebu Eastern College. And we also have someone from the Boy Scouts of the Philippines. And we also have someone from the Grace Point Presbyterian Church. So and on site we have also from, aside from La Liga reenactors, we have from the Cebu Association of Tour Guides, and we also have someone from the Fort San Pedro. Daghang salamat for joining us. Do you have displays in Fort San Pedro and also about burial items? Wala. Only the National Museum of the Philippines and Cebu, and also of course the San Carlos Museum. So now we would like you to know that aside from this panel discussion that we will have this afternoon, tonight we will have the hadla tomorrow we will have, aside tonight we will have the Mythical Creatures cosplay contest, and also the hadla dance party, and those in costume will have a free santilmo drink. Tomorrow will be a celebration for the kids, and the kids will have a Visayan themed Halloween, our version of Halloween, or hadla-hadla sa Pamgrass. They will have games like tusluka ang ahos, and pakana ang tambaluslos, or feed the big mouth, kuuta ang kaban, guess what's in the box, and pangita ang duwende, or find the gnome. And of course, they will have also a costume contest, right? Night costume contest tomorrow, yes. And it will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So the kids are already very excited to join this. So thank you to Ellen says thank you for attending, William. And also, yes. So and Rodora also is watching. Good afternoon, maayong hapon, Rodora. So we would also like you to know that on November 18, because our hero, General Arcadio Maxilum, will be celebrating his 161st birthday on November 13, we will have a discussion on General Maxilum, the last man standing, and also in partnership with the DepEd Region 7, we will have a Cebu Island-wide extemporaneous speech contest. For this event, Mahilom, the man who could not be silenced, because the original, so of course, Mahilom in Visaya means quiet or silent, but then Maxilom became Mahilom Mahilom became Maxilom. It was changed into Maxilom from Mahilom. That's from the article of historian and author Dr. Erlinda Alburo. And it was originally Mahilom and became Maxilom in Spanish. It was the Spaniards who changed Mahilom to Maxilom. But then Mahilom in Bisaya means silent or quiet. That's why our title is Mahilom, the man who could not be silenced. And he was also the last man standing. So the youth, the grade 7 to 12 students are now are invited to join this contest to celebrate Cebu hero General Maxilum. And this will be on November 18 at 3 p.m. at Pamgrass to Cebu Heritage Hotel. And we would also be discussing the Katipunan's connection to Cebu on November 30, 2023. On December 16, we would be discussing about our indigenous fabrics, and about our indigenous mats, banig. And one of our resource persons would be Fine Arts from UP Cebu Fine Arts Professor 𝐸𝐽𝐻𝙪𝙧𝙞𝙀, and also a professor from Butuan from one of the universities sa Urios. Is it Urios College, Urios University in Butuan. And also on December 29, 2023, we would be celebrating the liberation, the victory of the Cebu Revolution against Spain. So dili na ta maglangan. We will introduce our resource persons for this afternoon. So our resource persons are all archaeologists or studying archaeology or participated in archaeological activities. So our resource person who is on site really, and she was she was highly recommended to us by her dissertation advisor, and who was our resource person in that very exciting, one of the most viewed now, that event discussing um, about the in warrior Dagami and the warfare in ancient Visayas. So by Dr. 𝘍𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 Bilyan, and we also had from the Museum of Cagayan de Oro kisa ba to si kisa ta tong speaker for koan for with Dr. 𝘍𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 Bilyan, si Mr. Solon. So Salon. So that event was also one of the most viewed. Si JC Salon, the curator of the Cagayan de Oro Museum. So daghang salamat to the students of DMDP, and also Flag Tour Guides, our grand winner in our herbal guess the herbal herb or healing herb contest. BB Zoe. Daghang salamat for joining us. So our one of our resource persons who is with us right now on site, who came here from Manila, and she is highly recommended by our resource person, Dr. 𝘍𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 Bilyan, also a historian, a history professor of the University of the Philippines-Diliman. So our resource person right now is a graduate of history at the University of the Philippines-Diliman, and she also is an archaeologist, a doctor has a PhD in archaeology, in history, and she has her master's in archaeology, and a doctoral in history. So she a historian and archaeologist. Please help me welcome Dr. Tara Reyes Hernandez.
Thank you very much, Palmgrass, for inviting me here, and thank you everyone for being here, and to listen in our conversation about death and burial.
So daghang salamat, Dr. Tara, for joining us. So we're so happy that Dr. Tara she has been actually so interested in the culture and the history of the Visayas and in Cebu, and she had paper on the Santo Niño, but surprisingly, it's her first time to come to Cebu. So they say that you need to kiss the ground. And so aside from Palmgrass to Cebu Heritage Hotel, she also visited the National Museum of the Philippines, Cebu this morning. So thank you very much for really coming to Cebu and also being so interested in the history and heritage of Cebu and the Visayas. So aside from Dr. Tara, we also have as our resource person, Suki nato. Suki, she has been with us, like her first time to speak in our forum was in the Museums and Galleries Month before the pandemic. She was also our resource person in 𝘍𝐼𝙘𝙘𝘍𝐼𝙘𝐘𝐲. Is it 𝘍𝐼𝙘𝐘𝐲? Mao ba to? The pre-colonial fashion, the nudity and fashion in pre-colonial Visayas, and that also forum is one of the most viewed of all time. The audience really like to see our cosplayers being nude. They thought that our cosplayers would be nude. Nudity and fashion in pre-colonial Visayas. So she was our resource person, one of our resource persons for that, and she also was one of our judges in a Warrior Dagami contest 2 years ago. So she is the former president of the Central Visayas Association of Museums. She was also formerly the the former curator of the Museo Sugbo, um, the the Cebu Provincial Museum, and she is a graduate of sociology and is she is taking her master's in anthropology, and she is the information officer of the National Museum of the Philippines, Cebu. Please help me welcome Miss Maria Cecilia.
Mayong hapon, Miss A. Okay ra akong audio.
Masi.
Ma'am? Okay, can you hear me?
Audio. Walay audio. Ha?
Kana, madunggan ko, ma'am?
Ha? Ganina, okay to, Masi, when we tested it. Now, we can't hear you.
Pero kani, okay na.
We would like to know from the audience if they can hear Masi. So, ang speaker nato ang problem. Okay sa online, they can hear Masi, but we can't hear her because maybe, I think wala mo tingog ang speaker, no? Can you hear us from the speaker? Wala. Madunggan lang ninyo sa koan. You can only hear us from. So thank you very much, Masi. We're still fixing our audio here for the on-site audio. So you would see that both of our resource persons are all women, and then and then there was a joke. I don't know if this is derogatory to women, or is this there was a joke about, I don't know if this is anti-women, or is it just a joke, or is it just for fun. I saw online like a month ago, there was a post on Facebook that said, "Why are there so many women archaeologists?" Have you heard that? Have you heard that, Koan? Have you read that? Wala. Why are there so many women archaeologists? Do you know what archaeologists do? So what do archaeologists do? Ha? They dig artifacts. Ang mga students of DMDP, a hospitality school, knows about archaeology, that archaeologists dig up artifacts. They dig up artifacts. So so for those online, do you know why that joke about why there are so many women archaeologists? Wala mo kay balo-ala ka joke? They have the patience. According to William here, a tour guide from 𝐼𝐻 and Flag, the women have the patience to dig up, to dig. They have the patience to dig. And the joke that I read was that, yes, there are so many women archaeologists because women are very good in digging up the past. Maayo kulo kaayo mo count sa kasaysayan kung sa Tagalog na magaling halongkat ng nakaraan. I don't know if this is a joke, or is this derogatory, or is it a compliment for women. So okay na ang audio nato. So now we would like you to know that we would invite you to give your questions as we go along, and to put your questions at the comment section. And we also have a trivia quiz with exciting prizes at the end. So the one who would win would win exciting prizes. So we have a question for the on-site audience, those here in person, and we also have a question. We also have a question for the online audience. So is it is it still? Yes, I can hear Masi. So so now we give this first question to we give this question so that there is a Lindy Rivera is Lindy Rivera is defending the women. Lindy, from where are you in the Philippines? So the answer of Lindy why there are many women archaeologists. So actually in Cebu we only see two actually men archaeologists. Dr. Jobers Reynes Bersales and Dr. John Peterson. They are men. And there is still another one. And according also to our resource person from UP Diliman, when she was studying, at first, most were men, but right now, most are women. Many are, there are so many women studying our archaeology right now. So ang answer ni Lindy is this: because women make better analysis than men. Ala, does gender have something to do with analysis? So anyway, that's the opinion of Lindy. It's really pro women. So also according also, so si Lindy is also a tour guide. So Lindy is from Lapu-Lapu City. So daghang salamat for joining us, Lindy, from Lapu-Lapu City. So we now have these questions for our archaeologist and historian, Dr. Tara. So we would like to ask Dr. Tara, may we show Dr. Tara? So in archaeology, so we would like to know in archaeology, how does one study burials? Yes. Huh? Uh, can you show? Can you present? Yes. Actually, we're fixing the audio here on site. So, dili sila kadungog actually ang audience. Can you come closer? Sige. Sige. Gi-move nga to the front, Arjun, ganina. From, it was facing here, ganina niya. I asked nga to make it face there. So, unsa man? So, sige. May kuan si, may Dr. Tara already start to discuss how does archaeology, in archaeology, how does one study burials?
Okay, so it's good now. So when we study burials, we actually know a lot of things, no, in terms of the past. So, number one, the bones, the human bones itself, can be studied and analyzed, and you can tell a lot from the human bones, like how they and how they took care of themselves. But when you study the fact that people actually made burials, you are actually touching on something that is very human. No, that what really makes us human is that we have complex set of beliefs, no, and those beliefs that we have set, whatever religion that is, it means that we are dealing about the afterlife, no. So we are talking about humans already thinking about that there are something inside of them that is beyond what we have. So there's something beyond death. So whatever it is that we're living, it doesn't end at death. No? So we go to somewhere else. No, in our case, in the Philippines, it will be properly translated into afterlife or the next life. No? Why? Because in our beliefs, we don't really die. We just move on. We pass on. Like, for example, in Tagalog, we have a term that yumao. Yumao doesn't mean dead. No, it means that that person just moved on. No, he just so it's more of moving. No, so we don't really die, but we move somewhere else. So that's what. That's mainly what's very important for me when I'm learning about death. So, what are those beliefs and what do they believe in? And or what we call cosmology or worldview of ancient people. And in our case, because we were colonized, this is something that we have forgotten. Now, because we were introduced to a new religion, and sometimes in many places the priests were really strict on forgetting what we have believed before. So some or many of the populations here in the Philippines have already forgotten what was the afterlife during the time of their ancestors. No, but and that is why um, I'm really interested in learning about it, because I want to recover what really happened to this to we what really happened after life. Okay, thank you.
So dahil salamat, Dr. Tara. So they just you don't die, you just move on. So it's just like when you get a broken heart, you don't die, you move on. So when you get a broken heart, you say yumao. They move on. Patay de gyapon. so so that's the belief of our ancestors that we don't die. It's just like I think it's is it like Hinduism? Like is it or that reincarnation, or is that different thing?
It's a different thing, but in our case, we don't get reincarnated, but our ancestors could actually return, but not as humans, but as animals. So that's
Yes.
something that we can discuss later.
Yes. So it's just like also Christianity that when you die, you go to purgatory and or you go to heaven and hell. So that's also similar. So our next question for Dr. Tara is about because she's also a historian. So what in history what did the documents and ethnography say about the Visayan burial practices?
Okay. So just to give basic information about the different kinds of burials in the Philippines. So we have what we call the primary burial. So this is when right after the death of the person, we inter that person. So in our case here, the individual got buried no inside in sediments, and sometimes they are flex like on their lying down position, and sometimes you can see burials that are the sitting or fetal position. So we can see a lot of different examples of that kind of burials all over the Philippines. So there is no one distinct way of burying someone. And then this is in San Remigio, Cebu. And I don't know if you can see it, but you can see that there are flex primary burials, and they are accompanied with pottery, no earthenware pottery, and you can see the San Remigio Church is just beside the burial. Okay, and then we have what we call the secondary burial. Now, so secondary burial, and after the decomposition of the flesh, many Filipino groups, no, especially during the ancient times, would actually collect the bones of the dead person, and then they would do a secondary burial ritual. So you can still see secondary burials in the Cordilleras until today. And these are done to very special people only. No, so they don't do it for anyone else. But we have data from the Mangyan in Mindoro, and they do it to everyone. So it's egalitarian. And then, of course, what would you do with the bones? Sometimes, like here in Cebu, you would find jar burials. So they would put that in jars, and then sometimes they would put it inside caves, or they would keep it in their house. No, so my specialization are coffin wooden coffins, and then they're very small because secondary burial vessels. They would put the bones, and then most of it would be in. They would put inside hidden caves. So when you do archaeology and you want to find coffins, buwis buhay. Because you need to climb up and down mountains and inside caves. No, but there are records that actually during the ancient times, some Visayans would keep coffins like that inside their houses. Okay, so this is just an example of the log coffin in Banton, Roblon. And these are some of the records of Chirino that he actually discussed. No, so what are the different rituals that they do? No, so number one, they would bathe the body when they do the primary burial. They put ointment. That's mainly for preservation. Why? Because we do yung burol. I don't know in what's Cebuano word for burol. Lubo.
Ang lubong og ang haya.
Yes.
Haya is the wake.
Oh, the wake,
The wake
yeah. So
is haya, and then when you bury na or is lubong.
okay, haya. Okay, so haya, because especially if you have long wakes, you don't want the insects to be all around the body, And the natural decomposition process, of course, you try to stagnate that. And they put the best dresses that the person owned. And then when they bury them, they would put more ointments, especially what preservation chemicals from the buyo. So this is in Tagalog, it's nganga. Nganga.
Buyo.
Buyo, yeah. Yeah, and then they would actually just bury it inside their house. Under their house, or they would put it in airtight coffins and they keep it in a room. So according to Pigafetta, I think he met a datu with 14 rooms in his house. So you're talking about not the typical quintessential bahay kubo with us one room. No, like they would have lots of rooms, because they're rich. Okay, sorry. And then of course, they would offer food to the dead person. So okay, why? Because the dead, the soul or the kalag, can actually eat. Can actually consume food according to their beliefs. Okay. Okay, thank you.
So, daghang salamat, Dr. Tara. So, those are some already. So, we really wanted to hear more, but there are actually other also discussions from Masi and also Dr. Tara in a while regarding some more practices of our ancestors regarding burial or during funeral or during the wake. So, that means if they can keep the body in the house for a long time, that means they really already have the scientific method of processes, or they know chemistry, that they know what ingredients should be put, or what items should be used, so that when the body is decomposing, it would not smell.
Yes.
So, but it's not like the mummification, because mummies also.
Yeah,
but the
like
mummies
desiccation. They don't. Most of the mummies that we know of, like especially in Egypt, they do desiccation, so they dry it up. But in the Cordilleras, they would actually smoke the cadaver and then dry using the smoke, and then the preservation with also herbs. No, but in the case of in Cebu, for example, they would actually have airtight coffins. So the Cebuanos are very good boat makers. And the same technology that they use for boat making, they use for coffin making. So boats are airtight, because it's you're gonna capsize if the water comes in. So they put sap, tree sap, and then it would become.
Yes. So that would be,
Thank
so
you.
there are primary burials and then secondary burials. So how long do they keep the body or the dead the body in the primary burial until, so what is their estimate of the decomposition? That's how they dig it up again and get the bones and transfer it to the secondary burial.
Okay. So if you're just putting your dead inside the house, it could decompose as fast as just 1 year. But actually, the most important part of doing secondary burial is not the decomposition. It's actually gaining all of the well, they don't have money before, but the resources to actually do the ritual. Because whenever you have wakes and secondary burial rituals, you need to have a big party. So these parties could last for days.
The feasts.
Feastings, correct? And you need to grow the rice, grow the plants for what you need for alcohol, no, for drinking, and then the pigs and the other animals that you would actually cook for the feast. So that's actually more of the issue, gaining all of the resources.
Yes. So I also remember in our discussion about the warriors, like if they are able to kill an enemy, they would bury it. So it's the primary burial. But then after a year or 2 years, they would dig it up again, and they would dig up the body of the enemy, and they believe that the power of the enemy would transfer to them. They would get like the hair or the skull or any part of that body of the enemy. They would put it in their weapons or decorate in their
Yes.
homes, because they think that the part of the body of the enemy, the power that he had or he or she had, would transfer to them, so it becomes an amulet also.
Yes.
Those parts of the enemy. So they are not. It's not like an ancestor. If it's so, they have a different treatment for the ancestor who is revered or honored, and also the enemy whose power they want to get.
Yes. But actually, the truth is, doing that also honors your enemy, because you believe that your enemy has power, because the humanity, like Filipinos really believe in that humanity has a lot of power. Like it's really funny when I was a kid, because when I was a kid there were a lot of vampire movies. Twilight, I'm that old, sorry. Really old, Twilight and stuff like that. But whenever you hear stories about aswangs, the humans are more powerful than aswangs. That's why they eat humans, because we have something that they want. About the liver. The liver, that's where our soul resides.
Oh yes, I remember that
Yeah.
discussion also by Dr. Vic.
Yes, correct,
The
correct, correct.
liver, the atay in
Yeah.
Visaya.
Yes, that's why aswangs eat that, because that's where we have our power. Our kaluluwa, our kalag. Most of the indigenous people believe that the atay or the liver is really, really special. So that's why they eat the liver, because it gives them power. So
Yes.
the number one way to actually prevent an attack from aswang is, taunt and fight the aswang yourself, because they don't like people that are brave, because
Yes.
people are more powerful.
Yes.
So they're actually scared of people. So
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Tara. So now we would like back to Cebu. So we have our resource person. She is now at the National Museum of the Philippines, Cebu. She cannot come here because the museum is understaffed. So it's very ironic that we have on site from Manila, and the one from Cebu is still in Cebu, but in the National Museum. So we have Masi. May we have Masi? So okay na, can we hear Masi? Hi, maayong
Yes,
hapon.
Micas. Mic test. Okay na?
Kadungog ni Masi. Asa si Kuan? So, kadyot lang Masi ha, kay our on-site audience and I cannot hear you. So, asa si Kuan di ay? Arjon. So, Masi, si Tara, Dr. Tara was there in National Museum. She visited the National Museum. Ako kadungog. So, so, unsay problem dato karon? So this actually in at 1 p.m. when we had our test is we could hear Masi, right? Naon sa to Michael this nga naman to? So unsa man? Sige ko Masi.
Yes, mic test. Wala gihapon.
Wala.
Mic test.
Yes, actually we're fixing the
Hello.
audio here on site. So bilis lang. Wala.
Mic test. There.
Yes, actually we're fixing the audio here on site. So bilis lang.
I cannot hear anything. Mic test. There. Oh my God. I can't hear anything from the studio.
supposedly is to elaborate on the different ways the ancient Visayas buried their dead.
Yes.
Yes, this is now.
Yeah, I'm doing
Yes,
that.
the question is not the one
Yeah, it's
we
okay.
showed. So the question is to elaborate on the different ways the ancient Visayans buried
Yes.
their dead. Sige.
Okay. So when you have a lot of gold, we can actually think or predict that this person died as very influential and was a rich person when he was alive. And that is why his or her family gave him or her those kinds of funerary items. So those kinds of items are very rare because um, the metal itself is rare, and sometimes when you look at the different tradeware ceramics, it's also rare because it is a controlled item. So you cannot just get tradeware items. You need to deal with the datu. The datu deals with the merchants. The merchants do not deal with anyone else in the community, only the datu, and the datu would allow the merchants to trade with the people. So if you have tradeware ceramics like porcelain ceramics, it means that you are one of the chosen few who are given, no, or as a gift, or those kinds of bahandi or special items. This is in close. This is a closer picture of the death mask, and as you can see, it covers the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So these are pieces that are important because in ancient times they believe that spirits could actually enter someone's dead body, and metal is a powerful element that the spirits don't like. So if you have metal, I don't know if you have also that belief that when you fight an aswang, you can use metal, or in our case, in our province, you can put coins in your pocket, and then the manananggal could not get you because it's really heavy for them and they don't like metal. So that's why also, besides being very expensive, gold is actually powerful according to the beliefs of the Filipino. So if you have gold, it just doesn't mean that you're rich. It also means that you have some kind of protection. So it's kind of like an armor too, but a supernatural armor. So you can fight with those who are alive, and then those who are dead could actually harm you. No, and aswangs and stuff like that. So having gold in your funerary items also means that you are preparing against forces that may attack you after death. So you have so it's not that but it's an action-packed life, no? You do a lot of war because the Visayans are well known as warriors, and even during death they fight with someone. They do combat with someone, with supernatural beings, no? And you can also find that mass in Oton, Iloilo. So if you go to the museum in Iloilo, you can find it. And it's also a flex burial, also covering the nose and the eyes, because those are the important orifices that needs to be protected from spirits. Okay. And in Negros, in Tanhay, you can see the plates, no, the Vietnamese plates that was obtained through trade. So it means that this person has a special relationship with the datu, or is high in position, or was very rich. So that person obtained that. I don't know if you can see it from that screen, but there are skulls that is actually skulls that are put there inside the burial. So, but we're not really sure why the person has two extra skulls. Maybe they're related. We're not sure yet. Or maybe just like what our host said, it could be a trophy skull from raiding, because this person probably died because of a flesh wound, and as you can see, the ribs are they still have the spear point intact. So that person was speared. No? So during probably uh, combat or war, no, when he was still breathing. Okay, and in Bolhoon, Even though this was during the 15th, 16th century, during the time of early Christianization, the people did not forget those funerary items. So even though they are Christianized, or at least starting to be Christianized, they would still put tradeware ceramics, no, with their death. So they did not forget easily. In my hometown, we've rarely put funerary items, but the one thing that we put is the rosary. Yeah, and the rose is the rosary. But we still, and of course, we're heavily Christianized. So I don't know, but in Cebu, do you still practice these things that you put important stuff with the dead?
Yes, yes.
Like what?
Yes, the favorite items of the dead, right? We would put them. So later, sige, sabi niyo yung gibutan. So pottery. Yes. The audience, our audience, the online audience cannot hear us. So anyway, I think so. Please continue, Dr. Tara.
Okay.
So that's all.
That's all. Thank
Yes.
you.
So now I have one more question for Dr. Tara, because before we go back to Masi. So for you, what do these modes of burial represent in understanding ancient religion?
Okay. Very, very complicated ideas. So, especially when you talk about symbolism. So, actually, symbolism is one of those things that I have studied when I was heavily researching on log coffins. Can we put the PowerPoint on?
Please present,
Uh,
Michael. Michael, please present.
So, burial vessels could be coffins or jars, no? Just like we have mentioned earlier. And they would put bahandi, just like the tradeware ceramics. And especially when you're dealing with small children who died early, they would use small jars. No? So, and most of those jars would be tradeware ceramics if they could get one. And then they would choose the dragon jars, no, the ones with dragons all around it. They have a lot in the museum, in the National Museum. And the poor would bury them in softwood coffins, because the rich would choose hardwood coffins like molave or tugas. I think that's what the local term for that is, tugas and nara. So they would want something that would last forever. And then the poor would have softwood coffins. And then some of them they would keep in the home, and some would keep as secondary burial vessels. So just like I have mentioned earlier, coffins actually represent boats, just like what the one of our commenters online said. So boats, why boats? Because boats are very intricately webbed into the cosmology of Filipinos and the Visayans, most especially, because we live in islands and we are maritime people. And of course, even the Cebuano word for coffin is, I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce this properly, lungon.
Lungon.
Lungon, no? So is actually, according to Pierre-Yves Magan, is cognate of the word for boat, and the Austronesian word for boat. And boats, as you can see from the list, the Cebuanos are not the only people who are using this word for coffin. So even as far as the Kayan in Borneo, they use the word lungon, no? Because boats are the vessels of the dead, no? Just like what we have learned in the Manunggul jar. And being dead means traveling, no? And traveling over a body of water. So in some cases, like in Luzon, we believe that we would go through a river, no? In the Visayas, there are some people that believe that they would pass through during an oceanic voyage, no? And some would actually choose places to inter their dead that are near bodies of water. So they would inter them in rivers. Some would choose coffins, caves, would put their coffins inside caves that are actually overlooking rivers or the ocean. And of course, high status people would do that, no, because they want their coffins to be well hidden because they have a lot of funerary items and people might steal it. So they would hide it in caves, no. And the babaylans would actually be buried in tombs near the beach, and those beach and of course they want to face the rising sun, and after some time they would do their secondary burial rites. Okay. And of course, those secondary burial rites would be another paganito, no, or feasting. Okay. And one of exactly of the examples of those islands that are specifically used for interment is Homonhon. So when Magellan and Pigafetta arrived in Samar, they actually thought that Homonhon was a community because they saw a lot of like roofing. They thought it was houses. It were house. Those were houses, but actually, those were the roofing of burials. So it was a burial site. So when they landed on Homonhon, nobody was there. No. But actually, they have roofs. No, why do they have roofs? Because the dead can feel heat. So they would put roofing so para they don't feel hot. So it's like shade for the dead. So just like I have mentioned earlier, they can eat and they also feel things like that, like heat and cold. So therefore, they would put roofing to protect the dead person. So the person could still feel it and the person could still eat. So you can give them food. Okay. And this is an example of a cave burial in Romblon. And the cave site is right in the middle. So the hill and then rappel down. So yeah, that's 𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐾 archaeology. That's the 𝐼𝐻𝐵𝐾 archaeology over there. No? So this, what you're seeing is actually the ocean below. So if you fall, you'll fall on the ocean, fall on the sea. So they keep it really hidden because they don't want people to discover it because of the gold and the tradeware ceramics that could be stolen. Okay, and this is an example in Malipano, Davao. It's also a cave site, and as you can see, they have like a scaffolding there, and then they would put the coffins. So most of the time, those people are really prominent when they were alive. So that is why they would hide their the vessels and of course the bones. In my own opinion, there is also one main reason why. Because as I have explained earlier, humanity has power. And for someone to be prominent, I think Dr. Villan would describe this person as, yung malakas yung dungan. Malakas. Is it just an Ilonggo thing? No?
Dungan is not, Dungan means different, it has a different meaning here in Cebu.
What does it mean?
Dungan is something that accompanies, like dungan is to accompany.
To accompany, yeah.
Yes.
And the Bicolanos actually has, I believe they call it oragon. Oragon, maurag. So very maurag. No, so it's like being strong, no, innately strong. Strong about everything, like brave, women like you, things like that. No? That kind of oragon. No? So I believe that they also hide it because there is a probability that people would like to steal the bones of the dead person because our humanity, our bodies have power. No? So, and that is the reason why sometimes, especially during the time of Kalag-Kalag, there would be like, even in Luzon, they would steal human bones because especially if you have these cemeteries that are Christian, so they don't have a lot of people, right? So it's very few people inside those cemeteries, and then they would go there, they would break or dig up the bones of famous people or some people that they like, and then they would steal pieces of the bone. One of the most stolen bone is the patella, the kneecap. Yeah, the kneecap, and they use it anting-anting, right? Yeah, they use it as anting-anting. So they would actually steal, especially, and of course, the most special bones would belong to a very prominent person. So, like, if you're a really strong warrior, you were a very good leader, they would want your bones. So there is a reason why. Uh, there are many good reasons why they would hide the bones of really prominent people. Okay, so that's why you have those buwis-buway archaeology burials. It's buwis-buway. I hate that stuff, so I don't really go there. I'm just gonna say to them, yo, there's a cave there. Okay, you climb the cave, take pictures, take the artifacts, come down, I'll look at it. Oh, I'm not good with climbing things. Okay. And then this is what they have found in Bohol, in Bituon Cave. So you can see like secondary burial coffins. And of course, Bohol is an island, and they would be facing the ocean. So another buwis buhay archaeology. And then this one is in Cebu, in Hilantaga. I don't know where
Northern
Hilan.
Cebu.
I think it has a different name now because it's a really really old picture. It's somewhere in northern Cebu. So it was difficult for me to find exactly where it is right now. But maybe someone in the comment in the
Is this
online
Bantayan?
northern.
Taagan.
Uh,
Daan
yeah,
Bantayan.
but that is in the south,
Taagan
right?
is Daan Bantayan.
Ah, okay.
Northern Cebu.
Northern Cebu. So is Hilantagan? Does it mean anything?
Taagan.
Does it mean anything? The word Hilantagan.
Hilan Taagan. Ang say pasabot, what does it mean? Hilan. It's just we don't know yet. We need
Okay.
to search for the etymology of that.
Hilantagan, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was looking for it, but I failed. So there would be very like hidden inside caves, as you can see here. The coffin itself is very hidden inside the cave, so it would be very hard for looters to find it, no? But of course, looters will still find it. They would have their ways. And then luckily, this one was discovered by the team of the San Carlos University people, Rosa Tenazas. I think Rosa Tenazas is no longer with us anymore. But she was one of those archaeologists that really studied log coffins. So she was... sa Malapascua. Sige. Punta tayo. Let's go. Let's go. I want to see you there. So those are just the examples. So these are the different examples of the log coffins that was found all over the Visayas. And of course, although Palawan is part of Region 4, but a lot of archaeologists would actually lump Palawan with what they call Central Philippines, which is basically the Visayas region, because of the similarities of the artifacts that you would actually find in those areas, like in Cebu, in Marinduque, and also in Mindoro. So that would be the Central Philippines. No? And they would do log coffin burials like this, secondary burial coffins, and they would really look a lot of similarities that you would find. Okay, and also I would just like to add that they would actually give slaves to the dead person. So I think you have heard of this one. They would accompany slaves. No, so the slave, according to Chirino, would be poisoned but they would be included in the burial. 𝘼𝐼𝐼𝐼𝐼𝐼𝐼𝐼 actually reported like more of an execution style for slaves that would accompany the dead person, but this is very rarely done, and only done for famous powerful chiefs or datus. So those things are only reserved for them. And then Cherino actually reported that the one Filipino was actually buried in an actual boat. So it's not a coffin anymore, but an actual boat. And then they gave the slaves, and sometimes one burial, they actually replaced the slaves with animals like chickens as the rowers, no? In Tagalog, it's tagagaod, the rowers for the warship that was buried with that famous chief. And the mourners would shave their hair and eyebrows for the mourning process. No, you might ask why shave the hair, no, and the eyebrows, because I really do believe, and even until now, Filipinos are very the sexual thing in the body is the hair. So it's not really the breast. It's not. Why? Because what's our word for breast? What's the Cebuano word for breasts?
Oh, totoy, suso.
Totoy, suso. And of course, suso is actually the word for milk, right? Correct. And then if you go to Indonesia and Malaysia, suso means milk. So it's the same word for breast. So so the breast is not really sexual, because it's for kids. You know, that's the body part where children get their nourishment from. So it's not really sexual. So I really do believe that the most sexual part of a person's body, the ancient Filipinos' body, is the hair. So that's why they would put flowers on their hair. The Spanish would actually, the Spanish were really, really crazy about the Tagalogs because they wash their hair 4 times a day. They wash their hair 4 times a day. They would put like citrus infusions in the water to make it really smell nice. So that is why you shave out your hair, because it's more of connected to fertility. And of course, if someone dies, fertility is on pause. No, if your husband died, you cannot go to the rice fields because you are infertile because your husband just died, and the rice, the plants would be infertile. They would not produce palay, no? So that is why the infertility concept is on hold whenever someone really, really important to you dies. Okay? So that's why death rituals are really strict. No, whenever we have someone die in the family, it's strict, right? But it's gonna be stricter when someone important dies. Like for example, a chief. Like for example, in ancient Visayas, when a tattoo dies, the community cannot make any noise. No, and everyone would be silent. And if ever somebody made a noise, even just accidentally, you can be punished. Okay, so that's why it's important. But of course, in my case, because I'm a Christianized Tagalog, you can only see this, and I think this was really transferred to the Holy Week rituals. Because, as Holy Week, Jesus Christ dies. And we are not allowed during Good Friday to make any unwanted noise. Everyone should be silent. So it's like that Jesus Christ is actually treated and interred like a Filipino chief. No, just silent the whole time until the procession. So that's where we can only make noise. Okay. So, and of course, even guards are employed to guard the graves. And just like what I have said earlier, grave robbings could happen, and especially the robbings of the bones itself. Okay. Thank you.
So, dahil salamat, Tara. So, Dr. Tara. So, actually, there are now questions. So, those guards are really, they are not killed. They are live guards.
Lifeguards.
Unlike in the pyramids of Egypt, the guards are also mummified. They are also killed. with
Also the horses.
so, so actually, there are questions already. I don't know if maybe you can already answer this as we regarding the looting. So for the apartisyo of Taguig City and Pateros, is from DepEd Taguig City and Pateros is asking regarding the incidents of looting, and were those looters penalized? Or we don't know which period do you mean, during the ancient times? Was there looting also?
During the ancient times, well, they do not report it that way. But we could actually see in the archaeology that there is an ancient looting that actually happened. But during the time of Alcina, he actually reported Spanish soldiers looting Visayan graves because of erosion. Just like I have mentioned earlier, they are actually keen on burying their dead in riversides, no? And then, of course, because of the water, there would be erosion, and those graves would actually be exposed. And the Spanish soldiers saw that there are a lot of gold inside the coffins, and they looted the coffins. And Alcina tried to stop them because it's basically stealing, but you know, they're very far away from Spain. They have no money.
Yes.
And Alcina was like, okay, okay, steal the gold, but give part of it to the king. Because the king has a
So,
there's a king share. They say a king
so
share.
maybe, so actually here in this book, a short history of Cebu from 1500s to 1890s. Judicious C also recorded from Blair and Robertson also. So these are archival documents that say that there is Legazpi made a proclamation on May 16, 1565, proclamation ordering the declaration of the gold taken from the burial places of the Indians,
Yes.
Cebu. So that's May 16. They arrived here in Cebu on April 27, 1565. And in just like nearly 27, in 2 weeks, the Spaniards, the Spanish soldiers already found. So actually, we would find out that the Cebuanos did not feed the Spaniards. And they also ambushed the Spaniards,
Yes,
so
yes, yes.
and poisoned the Spaniards. So even if it's not a really kind of declared penalty, so that's what you get. So
Yes, that's what
actually,
you get.
the Cebuanos really were angry with the Spaniards. So that's why according also to Junicio C in that book, the Spaniards had to resort to entrada. They would forcibly go inside the homes of the Cebuanos to get the food because the Cebuanos did not give them food. Of course, why would they give them food? They were desecrating.
The graves,
They were
yeah.
desecrating the burial places of their ancestors because the soldiers wanted the gold.
Yes.
So they stole the gold from the dead.
Maybe we can take it back. Let's write Spain. And then, yeah, you stole gold from our ancestors. We want it back.
So now we would thank you very much, Dr. Tara. So there will be more questions later. So now we would go, okay na si Masi. So we hope Masi can already hear us. So now we have this question for Masi. How does the National Museum of the Philippines Archaeological Exhibit tell us about the significance of archaeology in understanding history and cultural transformation?
Okay. Madungog na ba ko?
Yes, madungog na ka. Here.
Salamat.
Oh, daghang salamat sa mga ancestors. Sige.
Sige. Una sa tanan, maayong hapon natong tanan, and it's truly an honor to be a fellow resource person together with Dr. Tara. Actually, she has explained everything very well already. That I think all I need to do this afternoon is to tell you what is inside the National Museum among everything that she has discussed earlier, no? But to answer this question, how do we, how does the National Museum of the Philippines tell about the significance of archaeology in understanding history and cultural transformations? Is actually because we have carefully curated an exhibition that will explain our identity as Filipinos and as Cebuanos, no? And one of our dilemma every time we encounter. Okay, Ramis, can you hear me?
Okay, I actually,
Okay,
I'm asking you to turn up the volume here at the venue. We
Okay.
can hear you, but the pakusgi lang.
Yes.
Sige. Sige,
Yes.
Maki.
Okay.
Continue.
Actually, one of the dilemmas that we encounter um, with visitors is that they always tend to take pictures, but we are not really sure if they understand the meaning of the artifacts, and that is why we tell them the significance of archaeology in acquiring everything that is exhibited inside our galleries, no, and curate yun na nato properly, and all that we see inside the National Museum archaeological exhibit are from the excavations that we carried out in San Remigio, in Cebu City, particularly in Plaza Independencia. Maunay atong mga makitaan sa sulod. We are also displaying the kanang bukog sa usa ka klase, usa ka matang sa bubalos nga nakit-an dito sa Karkar, and
Maki,
sa
do you have a
Bonhoon.
presentation for that?
Yeah, please, please. Yes. So, mauna no nga ato ang lantaw na kinabuhi pinaagi sa mga lubong. Kanang naa sa picture nga akong gipakita, usa na sa mga nakita nato dito sa San Remigio from the early phases of from the early phase of the excavation in San Remigio. It's a jar burial, and sama sa gi-explain ganiha ni Doc Tara, secondary burial kini ang practice unya. Ang naa sa sulod nga nakuha na mo ani is infant nga burial unya na ay duha ka buok shell bracelets nga giuban or gipabawn sa infant nga burial. And in the recent San Remigio archaeological excavations in 2020, we also found a similar burial, no, jar burial, pero this time wala lang siya takob, kay ang katong nakita na mo sa pirmiro nga excavation na amang guto siya takob, no, sama sa inyong makitaan sa picture, pero ang sa ikaduha na nga excavation lately pag 2020 wala siya takob. Unya sama sa same as what we recovered in the first phase. What was inside is an infant burial, unya naa gihapon siya duha ka shell bracelets nga na-count, and this was recovered at the Lapiahan site in San Remigio. So kana siya. I think everything was explained earlier very well already. That I think what I would like to show you instead is next for the next slide. No? Can we move on? This one is this is also this painting, this artwork that you see in this PowerPoint presentation is also included inside the exhibit of the archaeological exhibit of the National Museum. This is an artwork by Botong Francisco entitled Filipino Struggles Through History, and we chose this illustration because through the archaeological excavations analyzed by our archaeologists, we are able to picture out how the natives or how Cebuanos lived before the pre-colonial period. So, mao na siya. Next. So I explained that earlier. The National Museum actually carried out excavations in San Remigio, the Antabogon, Indanao, San Francisco Camotes, Liloan, where is this San Fernando, Carcar, Argao, Bolhoon, Hinatilan, and Malabuyok. However, what we are displaying inside the galleries are from the San Remigio, Bolhoon, Cebu City, Carcar, and those four towns and city ang naka-display sa ato ang archaeological na gallery. Next. So Moto, as explained earlier, some archaeological finds hold evidence of early Cebuano burial practices. And if we may proceed to the next PowerPoint. The pottery, the stone tools, and shells reveal early habitation and subsistence. So we were also able to recover a lot of mga shells, mga spider conch as we call it. And makita nato actually sa mga spider conch nga nakuha, nga na siya mga buak sa lawas niya. And if you actually go to San Remigio, or wherever you see people eating kaning mga kanang saang sa atong gitawag sa Bisaya, ingon ani actually ang paagi nato sa pagkaon ani karon. So makita sad nato nga sama sa gihapon kani adto ang atong mga pamaagi. So it's archaeology actually bridges unsay ato ang mga kanang pagpasabot kung unsay ato ang mga naandan karon naani siya yung mga connections sa mga kagahapon. Also, we were able to find a lot of clay net sinkers, some of them were also together with makita namo with together with the burials, probably na nasagol lang siya, which also tells us po that we are we lived, or ang atong subsistence is pinaagi sa pangisda, shellfish gathering, ingon ana. And mostly in our excavations diri sa Cebu recently, naagid siya daplin sa dagat, unya naasad siya kasagaran tupad sa mga simbahan, because of course adto man na magtukod base sa laws of the Indies, adto man magtukod og mas mga settlement areas nga kanang kung asa ang daghan nga population. And then to add lang siguro about the discussion later a while ago, there was a question about looting. I think this is where the National Museum would like to come in, that if you hear stories about excavations, please report it to us. We are already very fortunate that we have a National Museum already in Cebu to address those concerns, because we hear a lot of stories about looted sites. And one of the frustrations of archaeologists is that when they go to the sites, wala na taon sila maabtan, or disturbed na kayo yung site. So that is, I think, also what the responsibility of the National Museum. Mo lang na among iawhag na whenever you find sites like this, everything was already explained very well by Dr. Tara. So kung makakita mo og mga ingon ana nga mga sites, please report it to us, kay maayo na lang na ato ang mga archaeologists naapa in town sila maistudyuhan aron nga mas mapadaghan pagyud nato ang ato ang mga mahisulat kabahin sa ato ang kasaysayan o kultura sa mga Cebuano.
Thank you very much,
yes,
Maki. Do you still have, for these questions, you have the question regarding how does the exhibit elaborate the narrative of Cebu's heritage and the enduring spirit of civilization and identity?
Makita sa exhibit, we can see actually in the exhibit how the native Cebuanos live, including, for example, our diet. In fact, in the Bolhoon archaeological excavations, Dr. Ame Garong of the National Museum of the Philippines, one of our colleagues in the Archaeological Division, made a study about the diet of the people in Boloon, no, using the specimens that we extracted from the burials there, and based on the studies on kanang gitawag na itong mga isotopes or mga chemical compositions that are naa sa iyahang mga tooth samples, nakita nato that the Cebuanos had a very healthy diet, no, during the pre-colonial period. Ang mga kinaon, mga isda, and it was also found out that one of the staple grains that were consumed by the Cebuanos before pinaagi ani nga study is millet. Although it was already written in Pigafetta's account na millet was also one of what we cultivated before. Apan napamatud-an pagyud kini pinaagi sa studies, further studies that is provided by archaeological excavations.
Daghang salamat, Masi. So, please tell us more about how do our burial practices reflect our way of life?
So pinaagi sa it was also explained ganiha how we value life so much, no, and makita sad nato ang unsay mga butang nga gipadala pod sa mga patay, and sometimes it translates to unsay mga social status sad nga nabilong pod ta. So sama sa katong giingon ganiha nga ang gold death mask pananglitan kay abunda lagi kuno kaayo ang gold, gilubong siya kauban sa mga patay. Although this was done by people in higher status, no, sa society. Yeah.
Yes. So, do you have more slides, Masi, that you want to show?
Ay ipakita lang nako ug unsay ilahang makita sulod sa National Museum
Yes.
sa Cebu. But I would highly encourage nga sige next na lang na nato atong mga slides, no. So mao ni ang atong makit-an nga mga pabaw nga nakuha gihapon nato from the previous phase of the San Remigio archaeological excavations, and there are still a lot in the storage, no, nga wala pa na display from the previous excavation. Kani siya, these are also burial jars nga nakit-an sa during the Northern Cebu Archaeological Project, kana naagihapon siya sa uluhan, no, sa burial makita nato. O unfortunately during the San Remigio nga excavation, it was very unfortunate that naagyoy nahilabtan atong mga burial. That is why we really encourage nga i-protect nato ang atong mga burial sites. And of course, the gold death mask nahiuli na gyud nato diri sa Cebu, so makakita na gyud mo. Naay duha ka sets ani that are displayed in the National Museum. Ang isa is just the eyepiece, a pair of the 𝐼𝐻𝙘𝙘𝙞𝙣 nya kani ang complete set nga naay gisulog nga gold nga mga earrings, no. So please do visit us and see personally the gold death mask. Duha ka buok ang atong National Museum nga naa ani nga collection. One is in Iloilo, our National Museum in Western Visayas, and usa na diri sa Cebu. And then, this was already presented by Dr. Tara Pudganiha, no? And mao ni ang uban pa sa mga makita nato ang ato asang engagements with other makita nato unsay involvement nato with other neighboring islands and neighboring countries pinaagi sa mga trade wares na atong nakuha, and in the Plaza Independencia excavations daghan kaayong mga celadons, mga blue and white wares nga ato ang na recover po dito. So mauna ang inyuhang makita diri, finally they are here, nabalik na sila diri sa Cebu, so you can see them personally, and at least you were already given a discussion earlier about the relevance of these objects. And the next slide, please. So kani kadaghana ang atong nakuha dito. So not only burials were recovered in the Plaza Independencia excavation, but also different shirts, bottles belonging to different periods, American period. So na-mix na siya. And then we also see a glimpse of our colonial transitions and adaptations, as explained earlier, that There were already hybrid burials exhibiting Catholic practices, no, mixed with indigenous features, and these indicates an assertion of local identities as an act of resistance against colonial rule. So the burial practices we see from archaeological excavations allow us to understand the present and give us a sense of identity, because this is how we explain our exhibit inside, the National Museum. We relate it to the present times, to our present practices. Kay actually ginabuhat man gihapon ni nato siya karon kanang pagdala og pagkaon sa samang, sa lunganan, ang pagpasulkob sa kinalindutang sinina sa ato ang patay, ang iyahang relo, ang iyahang cellphone nga or unsay mga pinalanggang butang sa patay, actually gina-practice man gihapon ni nato karon. Nya napamatud-an na nato ug matrace gihapon nato pinaagi sa mga excavations nga buhat diri sa so mao na to siya ang discussion mo, plug na lang gyud ko sa ato ang
Actually,
National
there are so
Museum.
many questions that you need to answer.
Yes.
For that,
Okay.
I would like to. There's another question for Dr. Tara, and I would also like to um to to tell you about what Pigafetta. There is actually in Pigafetta's account. So, and also we would ask you later regarding Sulad and Saad. So we will ask the Dr. Tara about that. So there is this discussion or a write up in the Chronicles of Pigafetta. He described a funeral in Cebu in 1521. And this is how he described this. They practiced the following ceremonies when one of their chief dies. First of all, the chief women. So there are chief or primary women in the area. So if the chief or a dato dies, so the women, first of all, the women of the place, the chief women of the place go to the house of the deceased. The deceased is placed in the middle of the house in a box. Ropes are placed about the box in the manner of a palisade to which many branches of trees are attached. In the middle of each branch hangs a cotton cloth like a curtained canopy. So they make like a canopy in the house, and then the most principal women sit under those hangings. So there are canopies, palisades, and cotton cloth like a curtained canopy. And the most principal women, because a dato has many wives, and there are principal wives, or there is a principal wife and mga secondary wives. So the principal women sit under those hangings and are all covered with white cotton cloth, each one by a girl who fans her with a palm leaf fan. So each of the woman was fanned by a palm leaf. So lukay, no. So they are with a palm leaf fan. The other women sit about the room sadly. So there are so many women. The principal women are covered in white cloth and then being fanned by some other women, by some girls, and other women would sit around the room sadly. Then there is one woman who cuts off the hair of the deceased very slowly with a knife, and another who was the principal wife of the deceased. So the most principal wife, so there is only one, the most principal wife. Okay, they were principal women and then secondary women. And the principal wife of the deceased lies down upon him and places her mouth, her hands, and her feet upon those of the deceased. So he would, unsa na siya mo, unsa na mo, mukubo, unsa na, mukulob. So she would lie down on the deceased. So dili to baho. So the dead is not smelly. So it is already bathed in herbs so that it doesn't smell. So she would put her lips her mouth, her hands, and her feet upon those of the deceased. So when the former with the other woman is cutting off the hair, the latter weeps. Another woman also weeps. And then when the former finishes cutting, the latter sings. So they would cut the hair and would cry and then would sing. And there are many porcelain jars containing fire about the room, and myrrh and storax and benzoin, which make a strong odor through the house, are put on the fire. They keep the body in the house for 5 or 6 days during those ceremonies, and Pigafetta believed that the body is anointed with camphor. Then they bury the body and the same box, which is shut into a log by means of wooden nails and covered and enclosed by logs of wood. So grabe ilang ko ano, so their ceremony, grabe good. So they would show their affection for the dead even when the chief is already dead. So if you are the principal wife, you are tasked to be the one to kiss and to embrace the dead. So of course there is also this in the Father Francisco Alcina, also discussed in the Barangay by William Henry Scott. They have this belief that in Saad, it's in Visayas, Saad is promise. Those who go to Saad, if maybe can Dr. Tara can elaborate more on this. If you pass all the you will stay actually when you die. The spirit stays in Sulad, and when you pass all the requirements for you to go to Saad, you go to Saad, and that's like paradise or that's promise in Bisa. And then they believe that the dead, that the married couple reunite. Those who are married would reunite in the afterlife. So kinahanglan magpagwapo gyapon ka, magpagwapa gyapon ka when you are dead, because so maybe Dr. Tara can discuss more about Saad or Sulad. Maybe have Dr. Tara. It is there.
Yeah, it's in
Please,
a
show it.
PowerPoint.
Please show the
I was expecting to be asked that question, so I prepared a PowerPoint for that.
yes.
Okay. So, just like I've said earlier, the more a more accurate translation for the afterlife would be the next life. Because why? Actually, death is just a continuation of life, according to the really ancient religion of the Filipinos. So in Cebu, Alcina said about the word about the Saad. So this is a place where the dead people would go. So your log coffin or your jar burial would represent your vessel. It would be a boat. You would pass through a river or an ocean. And then, like in Alcina's case, he specifically wrote about the dead passing to the entrance of a mouth of a river. So from the ocean, he would enter into a river mouth. Okay, and then on the river mouth, his or her dead relatives would be waiting for him. So everybody would be in very good clothes, with all their spears and their jewelry that they were given when they died, and they would be waiting for. And then the coffin up, and then see. So, what is in order? There are funerary items like gold, tradeware ceramics, good clothes, and food. And sometimes some of the food we actually believe that the food is not for the dead person, but for him to give pasalubong to the other dead people. So we actually believe that because just like what Massey showed you, there are earthen one site in Santa Maria. We really do believe that those earthenware jars were actually containing food before. And not just necessarily food for the dead person, but actually pasalubong food for those who are actually ancestors, no? And then they would open it up and okay, so everything is complete, especially the clothes, because the clothes would be woven in a very specific way that their family was known for, because the number one female in that family, especially if they are high ranking, the trade would be weaving. So that female would be really known for doing a specific kind of pattern that may be important to their family, so they would know, okay, so you're one of us. And then if they accept you, you would go to the Saad, and then they would give you a specific place, and then you can build your house and do whatever it was you were doing life. So it's just a continuation of your life. And just like what our host said, your wife or your husband, when they die, you get reunited. If you have multiple wives, you get reunited with your multiple wives too. And of course, your children and your children's children. We have a family, and our family will be with us even in death. So you should have good relations with your family because you're going to be joined with them even during the next life, no? And of course, sometimes there are reasons that they would not accept the dead person, and that would be really problematic. So what are the reasons? So they did not give you enough gold. They did not give you nice clothes. They did not give you tradeware ceramics. And they would send the dead back to the land of the living. And that would be problematic because those dead people that did not go through the Saad would be vengeful because you did not take care of their funerary rites. And they would hate you, the people that are living, and they can do bad things. So, what are those bad things? They would not help you win wars. Okay? They would give you sickness, diseases, would eventually cause death. Eventually, they would not allow you to have children. So, this is something I don't know if it's, well, of course we have different sensibilities right now, ano? But before, in the Philippines, when you are not blessed with children of your own, they actually believe that the ancestors hate you, are angry at you, so they would not allow you. So they would actually force couples to divorce and then undergo rituals that would make those ancestors happy. So that's like one of the worst things that that a dead ancestor could do to you. It's not allow you to have children, because when you don't have children, it means nobody can do the rites for you when you die. So it's like the cycle ends with you. Okay. If you're really good with the dead person, like give everything, like gather all of the resources of the family, the food for the feasting, the gold, the tradeware ceramics, and it's just not the family. Alcina reported that even the datu, whenever someone dies, the datu would donate something like food, tradeware ceramics, and even gold. So everything would be complete, and that dead person would not be ejected from Saad. Would not be. So they would actually have a lot of stuff with them, and those stuff is actually symbolizes good relationships, especially with your family and your community. So this is one of the reasons why I like studying burials. It's not because it's weird, but actually it represents how much we care for each other, especially when Filipinos care about each other. You know, just like anyone during the pandemic, I was addicted to TikTok. And then there's this one weird thing that the youth, Filipino youth, would actually do. They call it toxic Filipino trait. Have you heard of it? Yung toxic Filipino trait. Okay, so they would say this and that is a toxic Filipino trait, like especially when you're with family and you're expected to help your family. It's like that. And then they would say that, that's a toxic Filipino trait. Of course, there are people that are not, ideal. They're not ideal. But I don't concentrate on those things, no. But sometimes it's very, very innate for Filipinos to help, especially their families. So they would help through monetary means or anything that you can do, right? Why? Because we want a good relationship with our family, no? And that is the reason why we would gather all of the funerary items, we would gather all of our resources so that those who have passed during the ancient times would be good in the other life. But what happens to them in the next life? They actually still help those who are alive. So what would happen to those who are dead? If everything is good, they are all in the Saad and everyone's happy in Saad, they would become anitos or umalagads. No? And those anitos become really powerful enough that they could help you win wars. They can give you special powers. Like for example, the umalagad in Iloilo, in the Panay area, they could, especially even in in Cebu, they could come back as snakes. They can be born with a baby, right? The twin snake. Have you heard of the twin snakes? Like there are people who are actually born with a twin snake, and si Suhoy, yes, correct. And twin snakes, or what the Ilonggos call umalagad, uh, or Tagalogs, they call it kambalahas, are actually people who are very special, and they are destined to be something successful. Like if you're a woman, if it's a baby girl, she will grow up to be a good healer. If he was a boy, he would grow up to be a good warrior. Yes, and Alcina actually reported that sometimes when they go to war, the Karakoa, the warship, a snake would actually climb the boat. And they believe that whenever a snake climbs a boat, it means that one of the warriors actually has a twin snake. And twin snakes are actually your ancestor, and your ancestor it's a promise that that ancestor will take care of you and he will give you a good life. And in return, we honor our ancestors. So every kalag-kalag in Lusonia, we call it undas. Yes, we go to the place where we bury them, we honor them, we remember, and then we give food. Sometimes we do, and then the families, they're all together, right? So it's a very, very special holiday. That's why the airport was crazy just this weekend, because everybody wants to go back to Cebu and do the kalag-kalag, and be with the family with the kalag-kalag, because we want a good relationship with each other, and death is not stopping us for being close, from helping each other. So even death cannot stop us from loving and taking care of our
Death
family.
cannot do us part.
Yes, correct.
Namray till death do us part. So
Mm,
death cannot do us part.
correct. That's
For
why.
the-
That's how important family is to Filipinos. Some find it toxic because of certain Western sensibilities that are introduced. Diba? But if you're gonna look at closely those, helping your family like monetarily, sometimes it's a burden. That's true. But uh it's also a reflection of you. Like if you have a family member that's not doing good, and people would see him not doing good, like like a vagrant, it reflects on you. Why? Because we are actually required to help others. And some people may call it toxic, but I call it because we really care about each other. And Filipino culture has a big impact on those things, because we care about each other. That's why we, even though it's a burden sometimes, we take care of each other. Okay, so that's why I like studying these things. I like studying death rituals and archaeology of the death because it's a connection of people still, and death is not something that could stop you from being a good relative.
Yes. So this is my last question for Dr. Tara. So we have so many questions online actually. So and then before we would read the questions online. So maybe some are already buried in the comment section. But my last question is how does this information about these burial practices help us to understand more about the ancient Visayan culture?
Well, a lot. Uh, I've been studying this for 20 years now, and I cannot eat. It's like this much. I only know this much. Why? Because for so many years, because of colonization and Christianization, we have forgotten so many things, and we were actually forced to forget it. Like just like what I have shown in my last slide, you can see the Santo Niño there, right? And there are other anitos beside him, and we used to be really good at producing wooden statues and anitos, and we have so many anitos. We have different beliefs about them, and some were written by the Spaniards, and that's a good thing, but a lot of it were forgotten. And hopefully somewhere out there, some group of people are still believing on it or has a version of the old beliefs, so we can actually know about it and understand about it. But this is something that we lost and actually literally stolen from us. Our gold was stolen from us, and also our traditions and our beliefs were stolen from us. No, so it's like you having an amnesia. You don't really know what happened to you in the past, so that would be really, really problematic. So that's why I like studying ancient history. And even, most especially the Ilustrados, Jose Rizal, Pedro Paterno, Isabelo de los Reyes. That's actually one of the first things they actually studied, prehistory. So Resil Mojares, national artist Resil Mojares, also from Cebu, wrote a book about those people. And if you would read his book, Brains of the Nations, it actually mentions that most of the works that they have done, scholarly works, researches, is actually about prehistory because they grew up in a world where there was no prehistory. So they don't teach it at school. If you can enroll, because no, but not everyone can enroll at school during their time, right? But nobody tells you about it. They have no idea who they were in the past, and if they have an idea of who they were, it is negatively explained to them by the friars. You're that, you're bad. You worship the devil. Um, you have so much lust, no, because of this and that. So they are negatively painted for during the time of the Ilustrados, and that's how they fought back from the Spanish, by studying prehistory, by studying this. And of course, now we have archaeology. We teach it at schools now, and I hope in tour when you're guiding the tourists in Cebu, you're talking about it more, because that those things that we only started to recover during the 19th century, and we're still not on the we're still uncovering maybe just 10% of what we have lost. So the more that we study about it, the more that we know about it, the more that we take back what was stolen from us, just like what Rizal and the other Ilustrados did. And actually, Isabella de los Reyes actually wrote one of the first books about prehistory, is actually about the Visayas. It was written by Isabella de los Reyes. That's why I think Mr. Mojares actually likes reading and writing about Isabella de los Reyes, because he was one of those people who actually studied about ancient Visayan history. So, but Isabelo was Ilocano. He's not Bisaya. He's not Cebuano. I don't know why Cebuanos are not that keen on studying their past.
So
But
Dr. Risil Juarez has this book, The Brains of the Nation. And one of those that he featured in that book is Isabelo de los Reyes. So we have now more questions from the audience. So we would like to have Masi. And we would also like to show you our snacks here, which is the Hadla Hadla cupcake, or our version of Cebuano themed Halloween cupcake. Oh, mao ni siya. So, um, so may we have Masi to answer some questions also with Dr. Tara? Can we have everyone now? Or do we have Masi first? Masi, there is a question from Leo Uduhan regarding the did the Cebuanos practice secondary burial? Because in Bohol we have both, and in Bohol we have both coffins. How about in Cebu? Do the Cebu have both coffins, and does the Cebuanos also practice secondary burials?
Yes, I showed it earlier with the photo of the jar burial that was recovered from San Remigio. And it was already twice that we recovered a jar burial there, no? And in Museo Sugbo, we also have one boat coffin that was recovered from Katmon. But I'm not very sure of the details, but it is said that it was recovered from Barangay Binongkalan in Katmon, Cebu.
Yes. So, daghang salamat, Masi, for that. So, may we have also Dr. Tara. There is a question. Ferdy Aparticio was asking you if you have also participated in the archaeological digging in Laguna, in the cemetery in Laguna. It's buried already. You still see that question from Ferdy Aparticio?
um, Laguna, well,
Oh,
one of the most famous
Nagcarlan?
no,
Yes.
no. I did not participate
You
in
did
it.
not.
Actually, I have not heard of the excavation in Nagcarlan. The Nagcarlan cemetery, the underground cemetery. Uh, I don't know. I am not aware of that excavation. I
Okay.
apologize.
So thank you very much, Dr. Tara. So there is another question from Rexmon Omega. From Ferdy again. What are the usual paranormal activities associated with the early burial sites? What are paranormal activities?
There there are many paranormal, what we call now paranormal. But most of the time, the like what I have mentioned earlier, if like for example the person was expelled in Sulad because of a problem, they would actually appear to the living, and sometimes they would go through dreams. They would appear in the dreams of the living, and then they would say, "Where are my clothes? Where's my gold? Where's my plates?" Just like, yeah, asking for that. And of course, the next would be giving them sickness if that was not rectified. And of course, there would be different, like, they actually believe that aswangs would actually eat the dead body, the physical dead body. So that is why it's really important for guards to be around, especially if it's not hidden, the burial site is not hidden, and aswangs would actually go. I think one specific aswang who eats dead bodies is called amaranhid, I forgot. I'm sorry. It's Visayan. Like amalanhid, they call it an amalanhid, and they are the ones who actually eat corpses. and they would replace the corpse with a banana trunk. So that's like a sign that the corpse was eaten or stolen by something supernatural if you would find a banana trunk there. And what else? San Telmo is actually if you would remember the drink, the Saint Elmo's fire. Yes. Butterflies, correct. And even reptiles, especially the gecko, tuko. So they would be there, and then this is actually what they believe to be incarnations of their loved ones. So, like for example, whenever there's a war, there's a war that they're preparing for, and they would hear the sound of the gecko, they would believe that this is actually warning for them not to push through the battle because they will lose. And that is one of the reasons why you need to have a good relationship with your dead ancestors, because they would actually warn you na don't go there. Yeah, you're gonna out like that. So they would not continue. Birds also, butterflies, birds, and reptiles. So whenever you would find them in cemeteries, it's like your ancestors showing themselves to you.
So, daghang salamat, Dr. Tara. So, there is another question regarding, so there is a comment actually also from a teacher, one of the supervisors or teachers in Taguig City and Pateros DepEd. It's a very interesting topic, and eye-opening. It's eye-opening, and it's the lost history of our land. And also, there is a question from Rexmon Omega, if this halad tradition, as does the halad tradition, this coming kalag-kalag came from pre-colonial tradition? So, may we also have Masi here? Do you also want to answer this question? How do our ancestors revere and remember their dead kin? So, may we have Dr. Tara first as we wait for Masi.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of halad.
Oh, halad.
Sorry.
So, may we have Masi for this? The halad tradition. So sige Masi. Is
Actually,
that's the halad tradition. That of course, di ba, we offer food
yes,
for the dead. We always offer flowers for the dead. So this is
yes.
other forms of halad. Flowers and
Pagkaon.
food and candles.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Ha?
An offering.
Ah, tuba. Tuba.
So
Ah,
halad is offering.
oh, yes.
Offering.
So the question is, does this tradition of offering or halad during kalag-kalag come from pre-colonial tradition?
Yes, because we see a lot of similarities in our modern day practices with our archaeological finds, like the concept of pabaon, wherein atong pabawnan ang patay aron nga madala niya sa iyahang sunod nga kinabuhi. And I think we get a lot of those practices that kanang ato ang pagkapagano no, na nakuha nato hangtod karon.
So, dahil salamat, Masi. So, Rexmon, so your question is answered. And there is another question also still from Rexmon. If if the burial practices differ from the Dato and Oripon, I guess Dr. Tara has answered this a while ago, that there are more rituals. There are more rituals for and more gold for the Dato.
Yes.
So, yes.
One of the also the reasons why you become an anito is because you were performing well as a person when you were alive. So whatever your job was, like not necessarily just a datu, but of course the datu would represent and the babaylan would represent like the best of the best, because that's why you chose them as leaders, because they were performing well. And even of course they have this like, I forgot the term that you use, the local term for like mabait in Tagalog, it would be
Buutan.
Buutan, yeah. In Tagalog, that would be mabuting kalooban. So,
Maayong tao.
yeah. Because Tagalog is like, we like really long words. The longer the word, we love it more. So, mabuting kalooban and like that. Dalisay na kalooban, like that. So they would have that because this is something that I always remind, like especially when I was teaching my students, whenever I talk to them about politics, ancient politics, the Datu does not rule over a territory. They rule over people. And who are those people? People that allowed the Datu to rule over them. Okay, so it means that you rule over people. So the Datos land is the Datos land, and the free, no, they're Timawas or they're free people. So they choose if they want to be under that Dato, and if whatever reason they don't want to be under that Dato anymore, like a bad relationship with the Dato, they could leave. And one of the main reasons why that happens is because the Datu's character is in question. Okay, but why? Because if you're a dato, you need to be really buot. No, you need to be have buot. No, so that's
Buot.
why. Yeah, that's why those people, even if they're just slaves or uripon, no, those people you need to have a good relationship with. Okay, so that's why when like a datu dies, many people would donate something, slaves, and actually Alcina recorded that they do special slave raidings when a datu dies. So there would be slaves that could accompany the datu. So they do not give the datu like their local slaves or the namamahay. The namamahay is your kapitbahay. No? It's like a member of your community. So you don't give them to death rituals. You get people from other communities for death rituals.
To become the slaves to guard
Yes,
to
because
guard the chief.
because you're gonna kill them off. So you don't want to kill off the people that grew up with. So the bihag, bihag or the aliping sa gigilid. So they're not part of your community. That's what you give to the death rituals for the Datu. So, and these are not required for people. This is what something they do because they have a special relationship with the Datu. And, that's why he's a Datu, because there's a lot of people who looks up to him, and of course, who sees it as their responsibility to send him off in a grand way, which is fitting for someone with his stature. So that's what happens. But now, I'm just informed of what halad is. So, like now, diba, in halad, you give them nice things, no? Like, we're not that elaborate anymore because our Christianization taught us that we shouldn't be like that. But it can be shown in many ways. Like in the Tagalog region, you would know that someone is well liked because of the flowers that people send during the wake, food that people send because of the wake, and we actually give actual we call it abuloy. Do you have something like that? Abuloy, like so we actually give money, and the higher that you give is because the closer that you are with that with that individual who died. So that's why those offerings or the halal is also part of that. And the oripon, which is actually, especially the bihag, is they're like property too. They're not treated as property, they're still treated as people, but property in the sense that the datu needs an oripons in the next life too. So it means that the datu is gonna take you with him. And of course, the datu is a nice person. So he's supposed to be a nice person. Okay, so
Thank you very much, Dr. Cara. So actually, we also have this trivia quiz with exciting prizes. There is a question regarding cremation. if it is done. It's not, right? Yes, it's done. So this is the last question because we're running out of time. We still have a cosplay contest tonight. So actually the answers, the questions keep coming, but then this would be, so the one in the audience no longer have questions, right? Wala na. Wala na lang. And then so this is the last question. Did they have cremation, and when did this happen? Is this in the primary or in the primary or secondary burial? So also, does Masi also want to answer this? Na si Tara na lang. Masi or Tara? Can we have both? So who would answer the question first? Ikaw, Masi, regarding
I'm
cremation.
afraid si Dr. Tara would expound on
Si
that. I'm
Dr.
not really
Tara na
familiar
lang.
with cremation, yes.
Sige. Regarding
Uh,
cremation.
we have really, really old cremation in Palawan, like 10,000 10,000 years ago, 10,000 BP. So, but because it's really, really old, we're not really sure yet what it means and all of those things. But we have a younger cremation in Pila, Laguna, and we associate that. Rosa Tenazas as Cebuana si Rosa Tenazas from San Carlos. She was the one who led that excavation in Pila, Laguna, and she attributed the cremation tradition to Hinduism because it was done during the 12th to 14th century, and the Tagalog region during that time was heavily influenced by Hinduism and Buddhism. And of course, in Buddhism and Hinduism, you have the cremation, right? So it has something to do with purity. That's why everything needs to be burned. And if you're in Buddhism, it has something to mean with letting go. So if you burn the body, then you are not attached to the body. So that's why, like in Thailand, if you could remember the previous king was cremated. So that's the Buddhism tradition. So because you need to let go of your life. So it's not necessarily connected with what the ancient Filipinos believe in. But yeah, so Tenasas is attributing that to Hinduism and Buddhism.
Daghang salamat, Dr. Tara. So we will have closing words later after the trivia quiz with exciting prizes from Masti and Dr. Tara. So we have this trivia quiz. So if you want to let go, you should burn people. I mean, no. Uh-huh. So that's why we would see those in the movies that when they break up and there are love letters, they would burn the love letters, right? So you would burn everything that would remind you of someone to let go. Yes. So 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 now we have the trivia question for. So do we have now the microphone for? Do we have this question all online or do we have this on site? One for the on site. One question for the on site audience. So we have this question. It's a very easy question. Yes, and your prize would be the cocktail of the month Santilmo. When the Santilmo was very controversial among my batchmates when they saw me uh, holding the Santilmo. They said, "Your eyebrows will be burned," and I said, "Layo ra." It's the flame is far from my kilay. So this is the Santilmo drink would be your prize. Mahubog mo adto gyud if you drink it all. So name name one ikaw mo ma-burn. You will be burned. Your insides will be burned by the Santilmo, not your kilay. So name one of the burial goods of ancient Visayans. Burial goods daghan kaayo no? Name unsa to giusab di mo? Dili, ako lang gi-change code. Kato ansa man akong ang original to nga question. Actually, when I did not yet get the presentations of the resource persons, I made questions, and then the question that was made was my question that was not yet so kini is actually presentation of Masi. So also man, i-show na lang na to. Tanaw na to if it's a correct question. Sige, sige Kulo. Please show that question. So the question is, name one important item that should be buried with the dead to protect from evil, from the evil. Correct na ga question? So, is this a correct question or kuan na lang, kato na lang akong question? So, remove na lang ang question kay correct siya. So, sige, who will answer? Wala na tay application sa katong Hall of Famer, everyone ka answer. So, who wants to answer? What should be? Sige, si William, please go to the microphone, introduce yourself, and what items? Okay, pwede ra no, pwede na. Congratulations. Gold na may specific, like, apo, gold. So you should have gold. So everyone who dies should have gold with them for them to be protected. And of course, to go to Saad. They cannot go to Saad without gold and without gold. So congratulations to William. Hope you will not be burned by the santil mo. Napa ba kay kilay? Napa kay kilay. Pero mahubog ka to, pero kung you have a kanang high alcohol tolerance, okay ra. Dili ka mahubog. So, so the second question is for online. And of course, if you can also answer those on site, can also answer online, but not William because he already won. So everyone online, we have only 2 questions actually today. So my question is this: name one burial vessel. Name one burial vessel of the ancient Visayans. Ay, kanina lang, name one type of the burial method of the ancient Visayans. Asay masayon? Burial vessel? Masayon ang burial vessel, di ba? Sige. To those, remove lang na a question. So your prize would be a hulum kawa or kawa bath with either a flower bath, an Instagrammable flower or buwak hulum kawa or a tinola hulum kawa with ginger, sea salt, and tanglad. With, of course, a healing prayer or rasyon. So, the question is, name one burial vessel of ancient Visayas. So, there are 2 burial vessels, right, that we have discussed, or 3, or maybe so what's your answer? Nanay ni answer? Which one is the first to answer? Who was the first to answer? Rexmon answered humba lata sa for the I think the one that should be brought that should be buried with the dead. There is a manunggul jar burial. Who was the first to answer? The first to answer, Ferdy? Jar is correct. Congratulations to Ferdy Aparticio, one of our Hall of Famers, and he won again today for this question. The burial vessel of our ancestors. One of the burial vessels of our ancestors is the jar. There is the manunggul jar in Palawan. And of course, there are other answers. Boat, a floating boat, it's also correct. Wooden coffin, it's also correct. Jar, boat-shaped coffin. Tugas, pwede sa wood, no? So these are all correct. So I would also like you to know that this actually, Dr. Tara was saying something about the cave as where they would bury the dead. Also, I was so surprised actually in Siquijor when I interviewed regarding their healing practices. They need to get for them as ingredients to the healing, to their tambal, to their healing potion, or to the medicine, to their medicine. They need to get, aside from those herbs and barks of trees, like 800 or 500 barks of trees or roots or leaves, or not roots, not leaves, roots or barks of trees in the forest. They would also get from the sea, but they also need to get items from the cemetery and also from the cave. So the cave and the cemetery are these have items that should be put. So maybe it's the cave also has symbolism, and maybe the cemetery because the dead is there, and parts of the, parts of the body can give you power and can heal you. So,
Yeah.
so, so those are so. We have all the questions. So we have all the congratulations to those winners of the trivia question. So Ferdinand Pagao or Ferdi Aparticio of Taguig City and Pateros, and William of the tour guides. So we invite you tonight for our Visayan Mythical Creatures cosplay contest and the Hadla dance party tonight. Those who would join the dance party and wear costumes would get a Santilmo drink. And also, tomorrow would be for the children, hadla sa palm grass with the Cebuano or Visayan themed games. And on November 18 will be the celebration of the birthday of General Maxilom with a Visayas, Cebu Island-wide hybrid extemporaneous speech contest. November 30 would be about the Katipunan's connection to Cebu, and on December 16 would be about our ancient and indigenous fabrics and banig. So now we would like to have the closing statements of first Masi, and yes, from the National Museum of the Philippines, Cebu.
So, una sa tanan, daghang salamat for this invitation. We are challenged this afternoon by our audio, but I encourage everyone for us to better understand our traditions. Duaw mo diri sa National Museum, everything that was discussed earlier, you can see them firsthand katong mga artifacts nga gipang-mention kaniha, and let us continue to revere our loved ones even if they are no longer gone. And lastly, happy Museums and Galleries Month, and this is such a good way to end our month with this very beautiful topic, no. So daghan kaayong salamat nya, kita-kita na punta sa laing sunod pun.
So daghang salamat to Masi for the sharing that she made this afternoon. And also we thank Masi for accepting the invitation because it's a last minute invitation for her. And so we will see, but please go to the National Museum of the Philippines and see Masi and the galleries and the displays at the National Museum of the Philippines in Cebu. Daghang salamat to Masi. So now we would also like to get the closing words from our resource person who came all the way here to Cebu from Manila, our historian and archaeologist, Dr. Tara Reyes Hernandez.
Hey, thank you to Palmgrass for inviting me, to our lovely host, and to our hardworking technical team, and to our guests on site, and our listeners online. And thank you very much for giving me the things that I study about.
Daghang salamat, Dr. Tara. So thank you very much for sharing with us your study, and we learned many things, new things today, based from what you discussed. So daghang salamat, and our audience, thank you very much for sharing with us the lost history of our archipelago. So Ferdi Aparticio says maraming salamat, Pamgrass, Dr. Tara, and Masi, and also Fe Balanta Coleta also says daghang salamat. Bibi Zoe says thank you so much, Pamgrass Hotel. And Fe says to Dr. Tara that Ganda ng name mo po. Thank you, says Dr. So daghang salamat to everyone who joined us and joined us again tonight for the Visayan Mythical Creatures Cosplay Contest at 𝘎𝑪𝐷𝑖𝑛 𝑑𝑎𝑔𝑎𝑚𝑖. Thank you to our daghang salamat to our partners, the Trust the Abil Foundation Incorporated, the Yandi Heritage Center, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, and so on 2020. Maayong kalagkalag, malipayong kalagkalag sa tanan, and see you in our next events.